Welcome to Tender Heart. In this video, we are going to share with you the story of a teen who made his teacher's life a living nightmare, so his dad decided to teach him a lesson. But before we begin, if you are new here, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you get updated every time we post new videos. With that said, let's dive right into it. A 17-year-old Brad Hayward from Texas is known as a Chad guy, especially among his peers in Rockwell Heath High School. However, one embarrassing situation that happened in May 2017 might have changed his reputation for good. Brad Jr. wasn't the most well-behaved student, and he has had numerous warnings from his teachers to clean up his act, which meant one more offense would lead him to some serious consequences. In fact, one of his teachers was in email correspondence with Brad's dad regarding Brad Jr.'s misbehavior in the classroom. When he heard about his son's misbehavior, Brad Sr. became concerned about his attitude. But he knew he was a good kid. He believed his son was just trying to get a few laughs out of whatever crowd was around him at the time. He further explained that the problem with Brad Jr. was that he always liked to be the life of the party, which meant that he liked to joke around a lot and sometimes annoyed his teachers. However, he came to a point when his attitude had to change. So Brad Sr. developed a plan. After one of the emails he had received from his son's teacher, he had made a promise that the next time Brad Jr. distracted his classmates, he was going to step in. But he meant it, literally, as he said he would come into the class himself if his son caused any more trouble, and it wasn't long before his parents received an email explaining that Brad Jr. had overstepped the mark again. The email stated that his son did something once again and got all the kids to laugh. So it was time for Brad Sr. to perform his plan. The luck was on his side as he was free from work on Friday. So he was all free to teach his son a lesson the very next day. The 53-year-old dad snuck into his son's physics class and took a seat. The teacher, who was in on the prank, directed Brad Sr. to his son's then empty seat. All they had to do was wait for the school bell to ring. Soon the class started entering the classroom, talking to one another, not noticing that they had a visitor. At first, Brad Jr. had no idea his dad was there until all of a sudden, he heard a familiar voice greeting him. He jumped up in surprise and caught sight of his father sitting in his class, with a priceless look on his face. The moment that happened, Brad's peers started laughing. However, Brad didn't have the same reaction, and he was certainly not up for a laugh. He was obviously embarrassed. But the teacher carried on with the class, with both Brads sitting side by side. It comes as no surprise that the kid's behavior was perfect in class. Though this was a perfect prank, it didn't quite teach Brad Jr. a lesson. Though the idea was to embarrass his son in front of his friends, after a while Brad Jr. didn't mind his dad being there. It turned out the experience was more uncomfortable for his dad, and when he asked if he would consider dropping in on a high school class again, the 53-year-old was adamant that he wouldn't. The whole situation would have probably been forgotten pretty soon, or just stayed inside the high school, hadn't it been for Brad's sister Molly, who found it so amusing she had to tweet it, which resulted in the photo going viral. Though Brad Sr. admitted that his prank didn't have quite the effect that he'd hoped for, certainly did teach his son that when his dad threatens to do something, he really does mean it. I hope you liked the video. If you do, then feel free to share this video with your family and friends. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.